Hello, everybody. My name is Carrie Quinn. This is the Officially Unofficial Geek channel, and today is Collected Edition Tuesdays. Thank you for joining us. This is where I talk about a collected edition comic book that I read or a graphic novel that I read, and I let you know what I thought of it. So, today we are going to talk about Batman and Robin, Volume 1 Memento or Memento Volume 1. This is the beginning of the all in DC initiative with all of their comic books. So there have been issues of Batman and Robin up to this point. I was reading them all individually, and now I've switched to a collected edition. And this was just recently released. And like I said, it's volume one of the Memento story. Now, this was written by Phillip Kennedy Johnson. And we've got some artists on this. We've got Javi Fernandez, Miguel Medonca, and Carmine Di Giameneco. The colorist is Marcelo Maiolo. Yeah. We've got the letterer of Steve Wands, and we've got cover artists Javier Fernandez and Dave McCraig. Um, yeah, so that's kind of your rundown of everyone in the book. So, um, Batman and Robin has been yet another Batman book that has kind of compartmentalized the central thought of the relationship between Batman and one particular Robin, which is Damian Wayne, which, if you will recall, is, spoiler alert, his son, his actual son, rather than just an adopted son. And the story is, I think, issues 15 through 19. Let me double check real quick. Um, Yes, maybe. Hold on. um, so it's probably at least 15 through 19. No, excuse me. It is 14 through 19. Um, so let me just give you kind of a synopsis here from the Storygraph site, which, if you are not following me on Storygraph and you happen to be on that site, on that app, please at Carrie underscore the OUG. Follow me. I will follow you back. So here's the description of the book. Memento takes Gotham. Damian Wayne is the son of Batman, grandson of the demon Ra's al Ghul, and Robin. Excuse me, I'm opening my drink because my mouth is already dry. Yum. Um, but as he nears the age at which his father traveled the world, one question is on his mind. Who is Damien outside of the Crusades his family has tasked him with fighting since birth? That is definitely a theme of the book. When he starts to look beyond his life of endless violence, a different way to help the world begins to present itself. But when an enigmatic serial killer by the name of Memento returns from Bruce Wayne's past, the dynamic duo must muster all their guile to solve this puzzling mystery. The powerhouse team of Philip Kennedy Johnson, and it gets into the lead up to telling you um, the rest of the info that I've already told you, involving the creative team and the issues that it goes into. So I very much enjoyed this piece. What's interesting is something that I used to always talk about in my single issue reviews, is that tropes are an important idea of the comic book genre. Not necessarily genre of the comic book medium. Genres are different than that. Medium is an essential facet of the comic book medium, because you are doling out month after month after month after month sometimes of these books, especially Batman and Robin, which has been a ongoing monthly book since it started. Um, so a lot of times comic book creators will lean on tropes. And the point of the trope is a thing because the trope works. And what you have to do from that point is you have to take the trope and you have to then use that as your basis for your story and spin the story so that maybe you're creating something that is a different thought, is a different additive to the trope. So in this book, the trope is very much serial killer mystery. Okay, so this is something that you will see in any kind of serialized or even non-serialized kind of dramatic thriller, where you have the mystery of the serial killer. And believe me, guys, if you've ever watched any kind of or looked at viewing numbers of any kind of major police procedural, uh, you're going to see some of the most successful and some of the most interesting shows involving that sort of thing will take a moment where they set up the whole serial killer kind of aspect. One that does it quite well is Criminal Minds. All the time, there's like you'll have like the week to week stories involving Criminal Minds, but you'll also have like a central like this carries from episode to episode. And um, Dexter is another perfect example of that kind of serial format, but with an overarching concept. Um, we are taking the serial killer concept and that is the trope. The serial killer mystery is your trope. And then what we add to it is whatever Philip Kennedy Johnson adds to it to give it his own flair, which he's doing a couple different things here. He's adding the drama involving Damian Wayne trying to have this whole coming of age, who am I, situation, which could make it an appealing read for somebody that maybe is not a child, but maybe an older teenager that's maybe around the same age as the character Damian Wayne, which we're talking 15, 16, 17, 18. I think people that age is probably very easy to sit there and be like, here they can be handed this book, they can be like recommended this book if that's a certain kind of a genre that they like. Serial killer mystery fiction, um, and that's going to appeal to people on that level where you have the whole idea that Damian Wayne is saying here, kind of questioning what everyone's expectations are of him, and then maybe also trying to discover what his own expectations of himself are. And that is this serial killer story. You have our heroes, and the hero is conflicted because of he's going through a what does it all mean? Why am I here? Kind of thing. So, on one end, you have that. On the total other end, you have a supernatural aspect to the idea of Memento. Memento being someone that seems to either have a supernatural aspect or a kind of it's kind of like a Scooby-Doo detective agency type of situation here where the appearance is supernatural, but of course you've got Batman on the case who is sitting there, and Damian Wayne and a police investigator from Bruce Wayne's past also, um, trying to piece together everything because obviously in a world where, yeah, we do have meta humans and we do have people that cheat death, it's usually kind of these kind of things get grounded into like an idea of it being appearing supernatural, but obviously a lot of times a writer gets to make the decision on whether they want to, because it's comic books, make it a supernatural thing and make it really a supernatural thing, or if they want to do how like um, just who are you really, and pull the mask off by the end of the story. um, I will tell you this ends on a cliffhanger. So we're not containing the entire tale of Memento in one edition. So if you're looking for a story to be tied up into one arc, that's not going to be something that you're going to be getting with this. What you're going to be getting is you're going to be getting the coming of age story. Um, you're going to be getting a Batman reacting to the coming of age story, and also Batman reacting to the idea that he's kind of thrown for a loop because of the whole supernatural seeming aspect of Memento. Um, and that is the part that's added on to the serial killer mystery. One of the things that the reason why I feel it works is because it does come at you from not only the point of the trope, but also not only just adding one layer to the trope, but it adds multiple layers to the trope. So that's why I feel like it is successful as a piece of literature. And the other thing that kind of aids that is what I really like is when, let's get talking about the art here. What I really like is when an artist or a team of artists can take that idea, take the trope, take the additives to the trope, and then turn it into something that also translates visually. Um, and that is something that is very much helped upon. There's not really a lot that can be done physically involving trying to convey the coming of age story. It's basically you're drawing Damian Wayne dealing with what his emotions and what his thinking is, and you have to change kind of how um, you're normally viewing Damian Wayne, but not enough that it really has any room to follow up or accentuate that storyline. But what it does do is over here where you have these supernatural um, seeming storyline where there is moments where there is a flip and change involving the visualizations, where you have what reality is and then you have what is not in reality. And what they do is they kind of flip the color concepts and the way things are drawn to convey the difference, which is lovely. I really love the color palette um, decisions that are made involving doing the flip of what is appearing but is not actually there, seemingly. Um, you take a very typical Batman palette, okay, and you flip it to this very monochromatic um, red and orange type of situation here. Um, and it looks a little bit more, rather than being polished but dark, and it makes it more like swashes of red and watercolor like, but without actually looking like a watercolor. um, that's kind of the beauty of a monochromatic or a triad type of color concept. Right here, you're dealing with mostly a monochromatic kind of idea of different reds and oranges. I mean, if you have any knowledge at all on how those kind of things work involving monochromatic design and color theory, um, that's what you're going to see with this, and it's going to be a definite shift change between the different ways of viewing what's going on. So that was lovely. Well done, and definitely to the point, and it makes the definite point that gives you the opportunity to kind of view the what's really happening and what is perceived as happening. We end this, I mentioned already, on a cliffhanger. So I have to tell you that the cliffhanger was enough to make me, because I read this on Hoopla digitally. It made me like scroll right, and I was like, no. I wanted to read more, and if something leaves me wanting to read more right in that moment, you know, there's something there that's exciting and fun and a good read. And obviously, just in the idea of this, the writer being Philip Kennedy Johnson, obviously tried and true writing is going on here. So overall, I recommend it. I had a fun time reading it. And I think that if you are a Batman fan, or if you are a Damian Wayne Robin fan like I am, you're definitely going to find this an interesting read and wonder, where is Damian going to go from here? Because he is questioning his own ideas. He's been living this life that has been all about what everyone else's expectations have been of him. Now, he's going through this whole idea of, yeah, I am quite aware of what I'm going through. This is him, you know. He's quite aware of what he's going through. Now, how much of that is his own expectations of himself, and how much of that is everybody else's expectations of him in his life? Um, Standout moments when Damien decides that he's not going to go on patrol, and he has a specific reason. I'm not going to give it away. Standout moments involving Jason Todd interaction with Batman. Um, some really good information happening, and storytelling happening, where Batman has a moment where he's interacting with Jason, and Jason is kind of like, here's something you're not thinking about when you're thinking about what's going on with the kid, Damien. So there's some really good moments there. And I very much enjoyed this. And I think that if you're a Batman fan, if you're a Damien fan, you're going to enjoy it. Can you give this to a kid? No, you can't give this to a kid. But I do think that the whole idea of Damian Wayne going through coming of age, trying to figure out who he is as a person, not necessarily just saying he's Damian Wayne, or he's Robin, or the son of Batman, or the heir to the Cal. Going outside of any of that, what does Damian Wayne actually want for himself? And that makes it a good read for somebody that maybe is a teenager that's struggling to find who they are. They can relate to it, but definitely it is a, you can probably, I think the lowest age you can really go with this is probably like a 14, 15. Especially if somebody is really interested in the main trope, which is obviously the serial killer mystery. But anyways, guys, that's all I have for you today. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, do all the things. If you are not subscribed to the channel yet, please do that. Please hit that notification bell so that you know when I am putting stuff out there, so that you can see it and you can check it out. And I guess until next time, that's it for me. This has been the Officially Unofficial Geek channel. My name is Carrie Quinn, and this has been Collected Edition Tuesdays. This time, Batman and Robin by Philip Kennedy Johnson. Thank you for joining me. And until next time, I'll be seeing ya. Bye.